My name is Eugene Kielt of Laurel Villa, and I'm a tour guide specialising in the great Irish poet Seamus Heaney. For those of you wanting to find out more about Seamus Heaney, this short video will give you a flavour of what to expect from my 5-star tour of Heaney country. Now this is where it all began in April 1939 at Mossbawn, just outside Castledawson, the birthplace and childhood home of Seamus Heaney. The original stone house with its thatched roof and horses stable at the far end has been replaced by a modern structure, but Mossbawn still retains its special aura. The place where, as a child, the poet heard the music of someone pumping water at the pump outside their back door, where women came and went, came rattling between empty enamel buckets and went evenly away, weighed down by silent water. This is Lagan's Road, a narrow little country road, just like thousands of other little country roads in Ireland. But this was a very special road, because Seamus Heaney walked this road every day on his way to Annahorish Primary School. Years later he wrote about his first day at school, about Philomena McNichol, the ginger-haired and freckle-faced neighbour's daughter, taking him by the hand and him feeling as if the Queen of Elfland was leading him away. This is Devlin's Forge at the hill head Castledawson. It was an important place in its own right, but it's also important in the story of Seamus Heaney. The Forge is just about half a mile from Mossbawn, so the Heaneys and the Devlins were close neighbours. It's not surprising, therefore, that this place features in a couple of Heaney poems, the earlier one being The Forge, which begins, "All I know is a door into the dark. Outside, old axles and iron hoops rusting. Inside, the hammered anvil's short-pitched ring." And you can learn a lot more about the Forge in the course of my tour of Heaney country. The River Moyola held a very special place in Seamus Heaney's affections, for the river was just a few hundred yards from Mossbawn, his childhood home, and he would often venture out onto the stepping stones that led from one bank to the other. And he wrote, "There was a feeling of daring once you got out into the main flow of the current. Suddenly you were on your own. You were giddy and rooted to the spot at one and the same time. Your body stood stock still, like a milestone or a boundary mark, but your head would be light and swimming from the rush of the river at your feet and the big stately movement of the clouds in the sky above your head." I'm standing here on the bank of the River Bann at Tuam, where, to quote Seamus Heaney, Loch Ness sluices towards the sea, where the rebel boy, Roddy McCorley, was hanged, where the checkpoint used to be. And this is where the eel works, mentioned in Heaney's poems, still operates today. Tuam Bridge is at the eastern end of what I call Heaney country. Mossbawn is just 2 or 3 miles up the road, and Magherfelt a further 2 or 3 miles beyond that. I just love the chance to tell you more about these places in the course of my tour of Heaney country. This is one of my favourite places in the whole of Ireland. The stretch of water behind me is Loch Beg, and at its heart is what is called Church Island. This is a place of stunning natural beauty, full of history, legend and tradition. It is also the setting for one of Seamus Heaney's most moving poems, called The Stranded Loch Beg, an elegy for a murdered cousin. Across that strand of years the cattle graze, up to their bellies in an early mist, and now they turn their unbewildered gaze to where we work our way through squeaking sage, drowning in dew. When Seamus Heaney was almost 15 years of age, the Heaney family moved away from Mossbawn to a farm about 5 miles away at the other end of Balachi Parish. That second home of Seamus Heaney's was called The Wood, and that farm is the one just behind me on the far side of the road. A number of poems are set around here, including one called The Other Side. Seamus Heaney himself moved away from here in the late 1950s to go to university, but some of the family still live around here today. No visit to Heaney country would be complete without spending some time at the excellent Seamus Heaney Home Place Visitor Centre in Balachi. This is something you can do on your own, either before or after taking my tour. It is fitting, though, that the final stop on my guided tour is a visit to the poet's final resting place in St Mary's graveyard, within walking distance of Balachi village. The epitaph carved into the Kilkenny limestone reads, "Walk on air against your better judgment." So if you want to experience Seamus Heaney's poems and the places that inspired them, get in touch with us today.